Welcome to Warblog. As promised, another video. I'm not sure about what sort of rate I'm going to keep up, but this is the Marinka thing, and basically, it has actually sort of struck me as being quite a bizarre, surreal place. I mean, it looks like the First World War. It also looks a bit like Syria. So anyway, I'm just going to sort of play. I'm going to try and take this place out first. The subtleties of this scenario, I think, can be lost in this short gameplay because it's designed to be played over a long period. So the Russians now, what the Russians do have is irregular companies. It's the first time I've done this for the Russians because they never had any regulars before. But I've now given them irregulars. So these are supposed to be lots smaller units. But the same with the Ukrainians. So you've got your irregulars, but you get 5 new irregulars each turn. So in turn 2 you get 5 plus some other stuff. Turn 3 you get 5. Turn 4 you get 5. So basically, you're supposed to end up with a lot of new stuff coming in every turn, but with the amount of other stuff that you've got, they're going to be losing a lot of stuff. So we'll see how this sort of plays out as a sort of a simulation, so to speak, of what's happening. I'm going to try and take all this out. I want to take this out here first. Because there's some air defense in there. What I was also thinking of doing was reintroducing a concept that I thought of doing before called ruins, but I haven't really got around to doing that. So every time you do this, every time you use artillery on an urban place, it actually takes, regardless of almost anything else, 13 off of the actual structure. I mean, I do want to take that unit out. Got it. So in theory, there should be quite a lot of ruins in there now. Let's put some cruise missiles onto this little stack. Oh, routed him. He didn't like the cruise missile. Okay, so they've lost 3 units there, but they're going to get reinforcements. Now we've got drones, so let's see what our drones can do, maybe against this unit here. We've routed it. Let's try this unit. We lost the drone, look. That's because he's still got air defense units in place. But we've taken an air defense unit out. Maybe we should focus more on that. But .25. Okay. So now got no more indirect stuff, so we're going to actually just try and right, we should be able to take this out. I think we should just be able to do it too. Yes. Two to 1 DR, so we push them back. So we're making ingress into Shakhtar. There's not much more room to move there. Now we've got our armour here, but I'm not going to use it because it won't work really. Now we've got quite a bit in there, but we don't have the benefit here of let's get in there. You don't have the benefit of indirect support of any sort. Can't move any further in that direction. Okay, so that's strange. Is there something not working right here? Oh, I know. That's sort of unusual, really. Because if I reload, it will show them, but I think, has that always been like that? I don't know. But now, in the turn, what we've got is a similar amount of offensive off-table action here. So what we can maybe target is something. So we know we're going to lose that, but there's a nice big stack there. So maybe we can take that out. Now again, because we're sort of playtesting this, we can always maybe give the Ukrainians a bit more to, you know, get this balance of things are being taken out. Okay, let's see if we can at least get something. So I'm sure that we should be able to. I think irregulars versus irregulars. So we've got 2-1 there. So they were really fighting for things there. Okay. I might have to give the Ukrainians a bit more, but we'll see. What they do have is this bunch of reinforcements coming up and these ones, so they're getting more coming in. But so are the Russians. This area might not be so hard to take conventionally. It's maybe this one where we want to start making some ground. But maybe sort of taking out these air defense units. Let's just do 3 and then put in some cruise missile, but that didn't give him the morale check. He's at 9.1, so let's put another. Oh, he's hanging in there. Routed. Okay, let's go for the other one here. And let's use the cruise missile. No effect. Okay, so we didn't do so well this turn, taking things out. But we still got our drones, so I think we can push them onto this stack. Well, I was thinking we could do that stack, but I don't think that's sort of in the spirit of the game. Let's So I think we should be able to get that one using regular force, but if we were to take them out, we could just then focus on these ones. Let's just see what the ground forces can do. It's 3 against 1. Let's see what happens. Two to 1 in exchange. So they had a fierce battle, but nothing happened. So we want to get the drones in on that, because we can't afford to be not making ground. We're not doing a great deal. That was a bit better. So it's now 2.5. So we're making much slower progress this turn. So I'd like to have another go at that. And another exchange. Okay. So we've got heavy battles, just this one unit holding out. So we're going to push these guys into here. I mean, do we really need all of this against this one guy? Seven to 1. Okay. Let's just use everybody. We got a DR, but he had nowhere to retreat to, so he was eliminated. But we got him. Got 2 units in there, but his movement is fairly irrelevant. We don't want to attack that, and we can't attack that. Probably move him forward at least. So now it's the Ukrainian turn. But they've got to move all these units down. So these are regulars can move at a certain rate, but that's it. And I don't want them sort of piling up into some attractive target. Now these guys, let's put him there, because this is a proper road. And again, I don't want to stack too much up. But now we have our artillery. And maybe we can take this stack out. I mean, this stack might be quite good. The thing is, they're in urban, so they've got defense. So let's just try this stack here. See whether we can get 3 units. Got 1. But of course, what it's doing, it's leaving incredible craters everywhere. Okay, well, we've got something under there, so let's see whether we can do some damage on this tank with our anti-tank systems. That was 8, so that was actually proper damage. And 0.9. So it's a lot easier to damage the tanks with anti-tank weapons, as you might think. Now we might be able to get these units right. So he's on 6. Let's just see whether we can rout him. Oh, but he's now at 8. Let's see what we can do here. So there's probably be a 2-to-1. Well, so the Ukrainians have succeeded. In something. And I think it's going to be a risky one, but he's at 8. And he's at 4, so they're going to be defending on like 1. Let's just do it. 5-to-1 DR. So that impetuous move has pushed the Russians back. We've got sort of a subtle but fine balance of toing and froing, which I think is being defined not by the the sort of the ability of units to not by the tactics, but by the significance of the artillery, I think. I don't really want to attack this 2 stack because they haven't been hit at all. So moving on to the Russians' turn now. I think the Russians have probably got a bit more than I'd like them to have. Or rather, I think the Ukrainians should have maybe a couple more artillery pieces to give them a bit more of an edge. Especially considering they've got all these drones and they've got these. So I probably will up the Ukrainian artillery. But then again, you could argue that the Ukrainians don't have as much as the Russians. But anyway, it's the Russians' move. So again, I think I'm going to use all the artillery to take out these air defense units. Which are heavily entrenched. 2 damage. Routed. Okay. So now we're on to this one. Cruise missiles. So these air defense units are hard to get, which is a bit not so convincing. Okay, so what have we got in this stack? Where do we want to use these drones? Now, we had a hard time against that last time, so I think they're digging in now. So let's just see whether we can get 2 of these drones to do something. No, nothing. Let's do the rest of them against that. Let's prep that up for a ground assault. Routed. Okay, so he's got 2.9, 5.15. Okay. Now this time we're going to use everyone, but now he's entrenched. So this unit has put in such a struggle, and I think I always say the same thing really, but I think it's sort of, to some extent, I think the illusion of simulation is as significant as simulation itself. If it behaves like a simulation, if you get these, if it becomes difficult like this, but not unbelievably difficult, we had a good chance of that. But the significance of that exchange has, almost twice in a row, it has meant that there's been this massive degree of fighting around this area, and that would explain why all the buildings are blown up. There's just, they're not. It's not a walkthrough for the Russians, and the Ukrainians are capable of. So we've had toing and froing here. We haven't had so much toing and froing here, but it seems to be the sort of, well, this could explain, some of the things that we're seeing. This sort of, this hard fought for, battlefield, so to speak. So what else have we got going on here? I think we're going to have to go for the ground assault here, and we will include our tanks. Well, what I'm going to do here is try and take out this anti-tank stuff here. Yeah, so anti-tank, I can never really remember, but anti-tank doesn't fare too well against irregulars. Now, it would be nice to take that out, so I'm going to try that. But do I want to? Yes, I do. Oh, an exchange. Well, it's not so bad because now we can do. I mean, I wanted to advance and take that hex so they couldn't retreat, but so not ideal. But a DE, we would have destroyed them, but now they've retreated. Oh, then they weren't in. That should actually be a city hex. It's an error. So there is street to street fighting. So we're putting a lot of effort to get this one hex. A 3-1, which is, I don't know, maybe reasonable, but we've got it. And I think again, I'll leave him there. What I like to see is things that sort of make intuitive sense a little bit, at least a little bit. You know, we don't have to sort of think differential calculus to figure out that. It just sort of felt like, well, it was sort of semi-right, having a sort of basic understanding of certain things. For example, you know, but and we're gradually pushing them back along this sort of urban area here, making ground in here. That should really be urban. So, but even so, we're still sort of pushing back along here. So, moving swiftly on to the next Ukrainian turn. So now we've got another stack of things coming on here, and more units just eagerly perambulating into the Mincer. Now they're losing their air defences, so to speak. But we're getting some new air defence units here. And what will also happen here, which is sort of not by design really, but an interesting, again, another aspect of this, is it a simulation type thing. As the Russians move forward, what will actually happen is that, I don't want to describe it explicitly, but relatively you can imagine it as their supply line will get longer. It's quite a task for the Ukrainians to move all their stuff forward like this to this front, but as the Russians move forward, it'll be easier for the Ukrainians to reinforce the front line and harder for the Russians because they'll have to move all the way along here. You know, which might be, you know, good reason for sort of taking this. But as you can see, they've got lots of units, and one of the things about Marinka, obviously, it's sort of this elongated thing, and you know, again, it's just chance. But is it, you know, is that affecting things? It's like a corridor of pain, so to speak. But we've got a lot of artillery. I think we should definitely have at least 2 more. But what can we hit? Well, these are fresh, but there is a nice big stack there, look. So I think we've got to go for that one. Don't want to see those zeros. Nothing. Well, that's it. I'm not going to play anymore. Like, half an hour is, I think it's pretty good going, actually. I think I'm going to give it another go. I'll give it another turn. Oh, we've got anti-tank units. Where's his tanks? There. See what we can bring to bear on that. 1.7. Oh, look at that. So we're blowing tanks up. One point 6, 3.15. But we could do an assault there. Two to ones, and again they're pushing the Russians back. This to and fro is working. Depression's 2, depression 0. So we'll move him in there, and let's have another assault on that. Oh, an exchange. So it is quite incredible, really. How it sort of strikes me every time I play my game, my fantastic, awesome game. It always seems to be sort of like, this seems sort of like, you could almost imagine that this is how it's going. It's got this sort of, they're not just piling into Marinka, but one thing I'm going to do now, I want to try and get up this highway and come up here. That should force them to fall back. Here, they can't last much longer. Don't know really. I want to focus everything sort of really on destroying all of these units, but we should be able to take him out. But we've struggled 2 turns now in a row. Do we want to concentrate on blowing these people up or these? We're using artillery down here. We've got all of this stuff just piling along. I'm gonna focus my artillery here. I'm not gonna go for the air defense units. Okay, so we've destroyed a unit. Destroyed another one, and he's at 1.4. We'll leave that because now he's not so strong. We'll pummel this a bit. And let's use some cruise missiles. Okay, so we sort of leveled some of the playing field, so to speak. Let's try and take out this air defense unit. And considering that we're going to get air defense anyway, let's go in there with these suicide drones. Shot down. We routed him. So we achieved our objective there. We've got 2 drones. Right, and let's use them there. Right. 1.4, he's at 1.85. So we're going to get a maximum surround bonus here. Well, it has a DE and nowhere to run, so he's dead. Can we take that unit out? He's fresh. Just use everyone, including the armored unit. DR. Let's push them into that stack there. But this is, we've got tanks coming in now. So I think we can afford to do another. Come on, I think we can afford to do a major assault here. Why does it keep doing that? So the bloody battle. They're not giving this place up, whatever it's called. Shakhtar, they're not giving that up without a lot of resistance there. A bit of resistance in this pretend open space and resistance there. So what can we do here? But I want to start coming down this way. So I'm just basically going to try and get onto this road. We should be able to just shove him aside. Yep. Get another assault on him. Yep. He doesn't like it, but he's still there. Can't get there, can he? So we've knocked him out. This means we can move in here. But it's got so much anti-tank hanging around, it's actually a bit unnerving. Because we've got tanks. And they've got anti-tanks units. DR, pushed him back. Oh, that's it. So we're going to try and take this. What will that do? Probably force him back this way. Let's just do one more turn because I don't want to play too long. So what are they going to do? Well, we've got a nice big stack there, so that's got to be what they want to be targeting in the open. Routed one. Routed another. And the third. We might as well go for it. Oh, so near yet so far. But that has seriously attritioned what they've got there. We've got two fresh units coming in here. A 3-1 DR, pushed him back. A 5-1 DR, pushed him back. I feel like I've got to keep explaining this, but irregulars versus irregulars have a sort of asymmetric ratio odds. They're both 1-1s, but when they're attacking, they get multiplied up to 5, so they're 5-1. Similarly, if these people wanted to attack these irregulars next turn, they would be 5-1. So these will not be able to defend in this open ground, but they get like a +10 factor in urban, so they're almost bulletproof. So that's why I did that, but it's sort of pushing this like that. So they're not going to be able to take this road easily, and they lost a big, battalion of units out here. So moving in the open is going to be deadly with artillery coming in. We've got this massive battle force here. More reinforcements coming in here. Oh no, I didn't want to go against that. .8, is that all we did? All that against armour, and because they're in. Let's see if we can do some more damage. 1.8, 2.6. I'm going to put a road connection between there just for the hell of it. I'm going to make a few adjustments, but I'm not going to play any more. They'll probably take this, come piling down here, but I'm going to just up it a bit on the Ukrainian side just to give not so much game balance, but I think it needs to be tough. We need to have a scenario that says, yes, I can see why there's nothing there, but a First World War battle zone, just mud, rubble, and charred remains of trees. But I think that it's a phenomenal thing, and I can't believe that I wrote this game, and that it is so sort of, I don't want to say good. It's just so sort of, it's real. It works for me, it works from a sort of. Well, I find it, playing the little, moving the counters around is interesting, and I think it's slightly different. I don't have any deep thoughts on it. I'm just sort of really talking off on the fly here, really. But it seems that a lot of other people are sort of, they want to be talking heads and talk about the war, and it doesn't cut much mustard with me. I'm not particularly interested. I sort of, there are other sides, and to be quite honest, I still like Southfront, but there are other sites, and I just don't know why I can't get into them. I think it's Southfront has got the sort of, I don't know, the fancy graphics, and maybe they're actually working. Maybe they're sort of keeping me sort of interested. But there's a lot of sort of, I don't know, opportunists who are sort of, commenting on the war, and it seems fairly ghoulish. But of course, I'm no sort of, I'm not, what do you call it? It's not as though I'm completely innocent of that. It just, I think that, the fact that I've got a broader spectrum of hex and counter, that, you have not seen any images. Sometimes I do show the images, and I was thinking of doing that, but there's no images of anything on this site. There's no sort of, fancy sort of high-tech war gimmickry, gizmos, because, that is the intellectual property of the warmongers, so to speak. I mean, even if you're taking pictures of, your many soldiers fighting across the desert, or Ukrainian, artillery crewmen manning a howitzer or something, the intellectual property of that belongs to the participants in the imagery, and and the nation itself. Whereas this is abstract and belongs entirely to me to represent, essentially what I perceive as happening, and I think that sort of that filtration or synthesization of events, it takes out some of the toxic elements of war, and gives some, But that's just me talking a load of crap. Obviously it's war, and I get the feeling that a lot of people really don't like anything that's not sort of, oh, but what about little kittens? Don't you care about the kittens? All the kittens, unhappy kittens, of Marinka. Where are all the kittens? And so like, well, that's about it. I get, I don't want all the kittens to lose their fluffy balls of cotton, but to sort of spend, so much effort on that, it gets a bit tedious, really. But anyway, I'll leave it at that. Another remarkable scenario, I think. When I make these changes, it'll probably be something that you could play again and again. But I can't believe that I've been sort of distracted otherwise. When, to be quite honest, this is such a fantastic platform for what it also made me realise is that it's me speaking. And I think it's not so much that I think. Well, I did think about this. I've done hundreds of videos now, and they're good for nothing, other than the fact that I sort of did them, and they're all records of sort of hours of my life that I won't get back. And you sort of think, well, was it worth it? And well, yes and no, because I enjoy sort of doing it, but I think there's a concept of what I call evergreen. And the YouTube is a business for a lot of people. I never saw it as that, but I'm seeing it more of that now. And people are creating content, and the concept of evergreen content means it's always good. For example, if I was to do a video on bench pressing, that video will probably be good for a long time. I was watching some of Arnold Schwarzenegger's Mr. Olympia, videos. I mean, they were made like in the 80s. That's like 40 years ago, and they're still good, motivationally and sort of in interest-wise. And other people are creating videos, and they'll always be, if they're fairly well made, they'll always sort of, have some sort of value. Whereas I think the videos that I did, you'd have to be a bit of a weirdo to sort of, have a real interest in any of the videos that I do. But even so, I still think that there's sort of, I think there's an aesthetic to the colours and the patterns that I like to look at. And I do actually like to watch my own videos, but I tend to sort of do it when I want to fall asleep, and the sound is not crucial. I'll sort of listen to it with the sound because it doesn't really bother me too much, but it's just sort of moving things around. You can play things on twice the speed, and I quite often do that as well because it goes through twice as fast, and you just watch things, and you can watch sort of as the units move along. You can forward like 10 minutes, and all of a sudden they've gone from there to there. That's what I haven't done this time. I haven't used my drawing tool, my favourite drawing tool. But anyway, I'm going to make some changes, and I'll probably never play this game again. If I ever watch this video, I think that the fun will be squeezed out. I think it's sort of worth it, but it's not evergreen. It's not a productive sort of thing that I'll be able to say, oh right, it's not a historic simulation. People are not going to say, I wonder what happened to Marinka. Let's watch that guy's video. It's not going to happen. But I don't think a lot of these talking heads people have a lot of sort of reuse, scope in what they're doing either. But that's all something completely different and separate. At least it's a platform that gives me the ability to sort of talk absolute crap without sort of, plagiarizing and nicking other people's intellectual property, and it gives me a bit more of a sort of synthesized and cleaner perspective on things. But that's me just talking crap, which is what YouTube's all about, so I'm okay with that. But I try to limit it a little bit. But anyway, I'll speak to you later. Cheerio.